All right, let me start off with saying Satan's biggest reward is separating the family, separating God's children, anything to do with breaking up the home, anything to do with like that divorce, you name it, racism, breaking up cultures and whatnot. That's like Satan's biggest reward. This thing that happened with Sonia Massey. I'm not saying that the white guy wasn't wrong. I mean, obviously we know that's true, but I think there's a lesson that we're supposed to learn from that, and I think that's the reason she was saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." And if when she was going through her purse and she was talking about showing them the papers, she asked the same cop to hand her that Bible right there. So she already knew, I think deep down inside, even subconsciously, something spiritual was about to happen. And I don't know if she actually could sense that it would be her life, but I think that she did know. And that's the reason she said she tried to rebuke it in the name of Jesus. Because I think that she already knew that there was a dark entity amongst her. And that's the reason she ended up calling the police in the first place. They didn't see anything outside, so then they came inside, and then he started pressing her for the ID. And that cop, when he got there, you could already tell he was acting like a darn demon anyways. He just didn't seem like, he wanted to be there. He was like, being real, demanding, you know what I'm saying? He was not peaceful with her at all. And you could already tell, like, she was unsettled about the whole probably spiritual situation altogether. I don't know. But they said that she was in like a mental hospital or something right down the street there, which is actually where the cop's wife or something like that, somebody he knew or something like that, had worked or whatever. So I don't know. There's something really, but I think that ultimately what I'm trying to say is this is not supposed to be about race. This is supposed to be more about the fact that we got a judicial system that is got a panel full of judges that gets to dictate the rest of our lives because they want to be God. And I'm not saying that we don't need some sort of like structure. We obviously need structure in this world because we're just all messed up. But whatever the deal is, I think that if we all figured out a way to start loving thy neighbor and having less conflict amongst us, that would be the goal that God needed us to achieve before he had to come and release rapture upon us. Do you see what I'm saying? Because if we loved thy neighbor and loved ourselves and loved everybody, we would actually we'd be living heaven on earth. Nobody would want for nothing because people would give it abundantly, We would all equal out a way to look at each other as equals instead of separating ourselves by borders. By borders and different ethnic backgrounds, and just by hate, If we learn to love each other and stop hating each other, stop casting judgment, because thou shalt not judge, that I think that we literally would actually like crack the code that is supposed to give us heaven on earth. Because if you notice, throughout history, there's always been hate that's being, I guess, front and center. It's always hate, some kind of hate. Tragic death, and all these other instances, where, wars start. And I think that's the biggest thing is God doesn't like the wars, and so we get to keep letting history repeat itself, and it always ends in death or war. And that's because we have not figured out a way to love thy neighbor, love ourselves and love our neighbors to where we create our own happy peace on earth. That way, maybe we'll all end up in heaven if it exists. I mean, you don't even have to be religious to know this. This is literally just a fact. If you learn to love thy neighbor and just, I don't know. I think it's like, remember back in the old days that they had like beauty pageants and stuff like that? And they always ask the girls, what would you do if you could change the world? And she would always say something like, I'd vote for world peace. And she always would win for saying something so ridiculous. But in all reality, maybe she's onto something. Maybe world peace is supposed to be what actually is the ultimate goal that we're sent here to do. And I think that we all have a purpose in this lifetime to help better the situation for our next generation of life, right? And a lot of us do. They reprocreate, and here it is now. We're living in an era where, the government is actually trying to play God. They want to make people think abortion is okay. They want to make you think that we need them, like as if they were God. You know what I'm saying? We need them in order for our lives to go better. Like we're not going to make it if we don't have a government. You know what I'm saying? But in all reality, I think the government's the problem. because the government wants to be God. That's a fact. People like Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates and all these people with too much bloody fucking money. You know, what do you got if you already got all the power in the world and you got all the money in the world? What else do you want? Oh, they're fucking superior now. They want to be fucking God. And they're not fucking going to do it. But so now they want to dictate on how we get to live because they're playing God. They want to fucking destroy us because we're useless eaters and we're not as good as them. They're casting judgment. And we're not supposed to judge each other. We all do. I do. But I think that maybe that's something we should learn to change. You know what I'm saying? If you figure out a way to, you know, stick to the old morals mom and dad used to say. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Hold your tongue. And train yourself to start, you know, understanding that everybody that seems to have wronged us, people that steal probably wouldn't steal if they already had what they wanted. There's the problem right there. You know what I'm saying? And then, so we got police out here basically popping people that are stealing, not understanding that they're human too. And, you know, they lived a life of poverty. So they decided to go to the streets and start doing stupid shit just to fucking be able to obtain the same thing that somebody else down the streets has got that thinks they're better than him. So, and they got busted. So now they're fucking sitting in jail for the rest of their life. Now that breaks up the home. You see what I'm saying? And then, like, if they had kids or anything like that, now they're growing up without a father. And now that kid's going to become a criminal because he ain't got a dad or a mom or a dad, you know, or a parent. One of the parents is gone. You know what I'm saying? So now he's all distraught, you know, and he feels like it's his fault. And so he starts turning to drugs and this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's out self-medicating because he's miserable, you know. Now he's going to go to fucking jail because he got caught with a gram of weed in his fucking pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think about the domino effect of everything that the government has set in place against us, all the laws. They don't care about the law of the Bible. They care about the laws and statutes that man created. Okay? They don't care about the 10 laws of the 10 commandments, the law that God set forth, you know, or the words that are in the Bible that are supposed to help structure, you know, people so that they don't quite want to go out and sin as much because they feel like there's some sort of a spiritual repercussion that they don't want to reap, which is like hell, you know? Think about this, guys. It's all right in front of our faces. And the Sonya Massey is another one right before the rapture comes, I think, to let us know that we're missing the moral of the plan, his plan. And I think that that's genuinely what it is that through hate from our government that basically makes us hate Palestinians, Ukrainians, Russians, all these other cultures, you know what I'm saying? And the fact of the matter is that it's just the opposite. We should love everybody and understand that just because they're different than us doesn't mean that we are inherently racist, you know? Maybe we just don't understand their culture, so, you know, we question it. And then if you question, like, a certain situations, especially in our government, they're trying to throttle our freedom of speech. And if we were allowed to question things that we don't understand without a bias or without a repercussions for doing so, then we'd maybe understand better. Like, I know that the more I hung out with people that were different than me, the more I got to discuss with them our indifferences, the more we tended to bond better because that open dialect was, it was very friendly. You know what I'm saying? It's very, like, relieving because it's normal for us to misunderstand each other if we don't discuss it clearly, you know? If I don't get to question my indifferences between myself and whatever I'm questioning, then how the hell am I supposed to ever come up with a solution for it? You know, or a way to comprehend it better, so better understand it, I guess, so that maybe I don't look at it so differently. Like, if any one person that I've ever talked to and got to know, even though our stories were completely different, they were actually quite the same. You know, and it was amazing to know that because then you don't feel so alone about, you know, in different walks of life, you know, just knowing that they grew up in that different atmosphere, that they had a similar or same story growing up. And I love them types of topics. So maybe that's what we need to do, start learning to love each other, having more open dialect with each other, and stop being so offended by the words. Because the thing about it is a word doesn't literally hurt you. It's mental. It's all mental. You know, so if somebody's not hurting another person, like physically, then we should learn that words are just words. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's a pretty good lesson, too. All right, guys. Hopefully somebody understands something out of this, but rest in peace, Sonya Massey.